Okay, let's take a look at fabulae facules, 67, a heavy task. Okay, um, and let's see, we begin with an ablative absolute. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Um, a brief, a brief a brief time, probably spatio. Spatium can be temporal or physical space. Okay, a brief time having been interrupted. Okay, the Argonauts came to the river Phasis, which was in the territories of the Colchians. Okay, there. When they had parked their ship, okay, when they had, probably beached their ship, okay, um, and had disembarked onto land, okay, straight away or immediately, they took themselves, okay, so say being the direct object of contulerant, that's an idiomatic expression with Pharaoh, another way of saying they went, okay, to King Aietes. And they demanded from him, notice how Postulo uses this instead of using a dative, an accusative direct object. Here we use the ob plus the ablative. They demanded from him that the fleece, the golden fleece, be handed over to themselves. Okay? So they're the subject of the main verb, okay, and so sibi is going to here be plural because it's apparently it's all the Argonauts who demanded the fleece, not just Jason in this case, okay. That guy, King Aietes, okay, when he had heard, so we have a cum clause with a pluperfect subjunctive, okay, when he had heard for what reason the Argonauts had come, okay. He was, and here we have comotus, but we've also got the finite verb, so we've got a finite perfect passive verb here. He was moved by anger, and for a long time he was saying that he would not hand over the fleece. And notice how nego negare can mean to deny, but it more often is best translated as to say that not. So he was saying that he, okay, would not hand over the fleece, okay, and in this case, say he is the subject of traditurum esse. Finally, however, because, here quad is because, how do you know? You just figure it out for context, whatever makes the most sense. Because he was knowing that Jason, okay, and notice Jason now is the subject of the infinitive way over here. He was knowing that Jason had not undertaken this task without the help of the gods. So he figures out that Jason wouldn't be doing something so crazy if it weren't for the fact that the gods were helping him. And if the gods are helping Jason, then he's got a little something to be concerned about, okay? So because he was knowing that, okay, his opinion or plan having been changed, okay, ablative absolute, okay, he promised that he would hand over the fleece. And notice here we have essay left out, which is not too uncommon, okay. He promised he would hand over the fleece if Jason would have, he promised that he would hand over the fleece, okay, if Jason would have accomplished first, okay, two extremely difficult tasks, okay. Now what we've got going here is we've got a future more vivid condition, okay. In indirect statement, and in secondary sequence. So slightly unintuitively, what we end up having is, for it's a future more vivid condition, is we end up having a perfect subjunctive, okay, in the apodosis, okay. So we have he promised secondary. Now that's introducing secondary sequence, okay. He promised that he would hand over the fleece if Jason would have first accomplished 2 very difficult tasks, okay. Does it sound okay if we said if Jason had accomplished 2 very difficult tasks? Yeah, it's probably okay, but it's more correctly to do it the other way, okay. And when Jason had said that he was prepared, and then we have an odd plus an accusative, this is neuter plural, accusative gerundive, okay. We have purpose, okay. And so he said that he was prepared for the purpose of all tasks to be undergone, okay, but we can translate this that he was prepared to undergo all dangers, okay. He showed, okay, this must be aietes, okay, he showed what he wanted to happen, okay, or to be done. So notice that word order there. He showed that thing which he wanted to be done, okay. First, 2 bulls of frightening appearance had to be joined. Literally had to be yoked, right? Had to have a yoke put on them, okay, to join them together, okay. 2 bulls who were emitting flames from their mouth, okay. Notice we have singular mouth. That often happens in Latin instead of, we know there's 2 mouths, but each one maybe from its mouth. Okay. Then, ablative absolute, after these had been joined, a certain field, and then we have again another gerundive here, had to be plowed, so was having and must be plowed, right? Okay, so we'll just translate that. Had to be plowed. And notice we have to translate this with this idea of necessity. Had to be joined, had to be plowed. We put that had in there to show necessity because the gerunds and gerundives have a built-in idea of necessity to them. The gerundives are future passive participles, but they're referring to things that are going to happen, but there's also a sense of necessity. Not only are they going to happen, but they must happen, okay? And the teeth of a dragon had to be plowed. And here the verb to be is left out, which is, again, not uncommon, especially with future participles, okay? So that's what he had to do. He had to do these 2 things. He had to yoke the bulls, and then he had to plow the field. Okay, you can't plow the field until you yoke the bulls, right? Okay. These things having been heard, Jason, although he was understanding that this task was of the highest difficulty or of the highest danger, okay, nevertheless, and now here we have a negative purpose clause, okay, in order that he not lose this opportunity for doing something well, okay, for something that must be done well, okay, even though he understood all that, okay, he undertook the task. Okay, now let's talk about what happened right before this, okay, before this brief time interrupted, okay. That was then when they had just come through the clashing rocks, right? Okay, they had sent the dove through, and that caused the rocks to close, and then right after the dove. After the rocks close, then they open back up again. Okay, because they only close when there's something there to crush. And so once the rocks were open, then the Argonauts rode like crazy to get through through the rocks before they crashed together again, and they made it. Okay, all right. We'll continue this later. Thank you.